Hello YouTube friends, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I love upcycling, repurposing, thrifting, and DIY content. So if you like that kind of stuff, I love new crafting friends. So make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss any great DIY content. Today I'm going to show you how you can do a photo transfer using your inkjet printer and Mod Podge. It's a really simple, easy technique. I've done a couple videos on it before and never with an actual photo. I've done it with graphics. So today I'm going to show you how I did it with one of my photos that I took on one of our recent camping trips. So I hope you enjoy. I hope it's helpful, and we'll get started. I'm going to do my photo transfer on this wooden plate, or this little plaque that I found at the thrift store. It was $1.49, and it's just basic wood. I like when I'm doing these transfers to paint them with a chalk paint first. That seems to give me the best transfer. So I am going to give this a coat of black chalk paint, and then I'm going to paint it with 2 coats of white chalk paint, and that will give it a really nice base for us to start our transfer. The best result that I always have when doing these transfers is on chalk paint. I've tried it with latex, I've tried it with acrylic, and I never have that great of a result as I do with chalk paint. I think the chalk paint must be maybe a little bit more absorbent in soaking up those inks from the print and helping it transfer better. I found when using a latex paint, it did not work at all. I found that it rubbed off really easy. I'll put a link down in the description for my favorite homemade chalk paint recipe. Now we're ready to do the photo transfer. This is just a photo that I took on one of our camping adventures, and I just love the vibrant colors in it. I printed it off on my basic inkjet printer. It's not a fancy one. It was only like $40 or $50, and I've just printed it out. Now what I'd like to do is, after I printed out my photo, I like to let it sit for about 10 or 15 minutes and let all the ink kind of dry and set into the paper. This is just regular computer paper, not photo paper. That's what you want to use for this Mod Podge reverse transfer method using an inkjet. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my Mod Podge mat, and we're going to put it onto this wooden plaque. I'm going to use my Mod Podge mat. I find that has the best results. I find with the glossy, it doesn't rub off as well, so I always stick to this one when I'm doing this type of transfer method. When I'm applying the Mod Podge, I like to apply it right to the photo, not the actual wood. And that also has given me the best results. I do a lot of these, so I've learned all of this through trial and error. So I hope all these little tips and tricks will help you out when you want to do some of your own transfers. Now, I prefer to use an inkjet, or a laser jet when I'm doing transfers. It just gives more of a vibrant transfer. I find when you're using the inkjet, it is more of a dull finish after you've rubbed off all the paper. But a lot of people don't have a laser jet printer, so this is a really good option. And I actually have a comparison video that I'll put a link down below in the description and up above right here, where you can see where I did a laser jet and an inkjet transfer side by side, and you can see the difference in how it transfers. I'm not cutting this down to size because I'll just sand off the edges when it's all finished. And now I've got it completely covered. I've got a pretty good coat on it. You don't want it too thick. You just want a nice thin layer over the whole picture. And I'm just going to flip it over and center it on my wooden plaque. And you want to rub out all the wrinkles and all the bubbles. Make sure it's nice and flat. And then once you have that done, you're going to set it aside and not even think about it. You want to let it sit overnight. You need to have that really, really dry and before you start to rub the paper off. So I've got this all set. I'm going to set it aside, and we'll be back tomorrow. One thing to remember when doing this type of a transfer is to reverse your photo. If you don't, your photo will be backwards when you put it onto your project. And also, it's really important to do if you're using graphics, because if you don't reverse your text when you put your graphics down, when you rub off your paper, your letters and your words are going to be backwards. I have a video on how to do the reverse graphics in a Word program. I'll put a link again down below or up above here, and you can check that out if you're not familiar with how to do that. Okay, it's the next day. This is completely dried, and now we're ready to wet it and rub off the paper. I just have a little dish of water and a rag, and you don't want to soak it. You just want it wet enough so when you put it on, you can just start to see the photo come through. If you put too much water on, you're going to lift up that photo. So just enough just to see it through the paper. And then you're just gonna gently rub away the paper until you expose the photo. This takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of knack on how to do it, but if you practice, it's a really cool technique and it works really well. I do find sometimes when I'm doing this type of a method of transfer with an inkjet, you sometimes can rub off the ink. It might lift it a little bit. Every printer is a little bit different. This one seems to work really well. So it's just kind of something that you just have to fool around with and try and see how it works for you. But right now it's working perfect. If you do find when you're rubbing away the paper, it starts to dry out a little bit and you're getting a little bit of a white haze. You can see right here, there's a little bit of a white haze. Just dip your finger into the water and just circular motions, just work on that area and it should come off if you just take your time. You don't want to rub too hard either. That's another trick. If you're rubbing too hard, you're gonna rub that photo and that transfer right off. So just kind of work in small sections at a time, just back and forth until all that cloudiness is gone, and it will work perfect for you. And like I said before, if you have a laser jet printer, this transfer method works even better. And you'll get more vibrant colors and it transfers a lot easier with the rubbing off of the paper. But as you can see, this inkjet one is actually working really well for me today. And I would recommend, if you don't have a laser jet, print off on an inkjet on a plain piece of paper and give this technique a try with some of your favorite photos. I've also had success doing this transfer method on a canvas, on glass jars. The only thing that I find works the best for me though is to make sure that you have a chalk painted base underneath any project that you're doing. As soon as you try to do it on plain glass or an unpainted canvas or unpainted wood, the success rate is not very good. I find you've got to have that chalk paint underneath, and it just, I think, makes it a little bit more porous for that paper ink to soak into to do the transfer properly. I'm just going to re-dampen it just gently, just to get that last little bit of the cloudiness away. I'm going to start in the top corner, and you can feel the paper kind of ball up underneath your fingers and wipe away. Now, the one thing that I do notice with an inkjet, if you start rubbing too much, you're going to start rubbing that ink off. So just really gentle hand as you're rubbing. And I think we're almost finished. I think I have almost all the paper off of it, and we'll be ready to seal it. Okay, I think I'm finished. I think I got almost all of the paper rubbed off. I don't want to rub at it too much more because the ink was starting to rub off a little bit, and I still want all those vibrant colors. So if you do have a little tiny bit of that cloudiness left, don't worry, because when you put on your top sealer, it's going to get rid of almost all of that. So I think I'm just going to give it a good sanding around the edge, and then it'll be ready for its top coat. I'm just going to go back in with my sanding block again and just kind of give it a rough sanding around the edge, just to kind of give it a rustic look. And I think it's going to finish it off really nice. Yeah, I like the look of that. Okay, we're ready to put the top coat on. I am going to use the polyurethane water-based clear gloss finish. You can choose whatever finish you like. I just thought with this one I would like to use a gloss finish. You can use the Mod Podge as a top coat, but I prefer this over the Mod Podge. I think this has a much nicer finished look than the Mod Podge, but that's your preference also. So I'm just going to put a coat over the entire picture and let it dry. And like I said before, if you do find you have a few little spots that are a little bit cloudy still and you don't want to rub it anymore, as soon as you put that top coat on, it's more than likely just going to disappear and you won't see it anymore. So I'm going to work on that. And as you can see, as I'm spreading this around, it's bringing some of that vibrant color back from when you first printed off the picture. And I've just finished that first coat of the polyurethane and it looks fantastic. I'm gonna let that first coat dry and then I think I'll put a second coat on and then it's gonna be all finished. The first coat is dry. I'm going to take my sanding block, just give it a real light sand in case there's any little air bubbles, and then I'm going to put on my last coat to seal it. And there you have your photo transfer using an inkjet printer and Mod Podge. And it works fantastic. So go through your photos, pick out some of your favorite ones, and give this technique a try. Thanks so much for watching today's video, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I love to read them. I'll be sharing so many more DIY, thrifting, repurposing videos, so if you aren't already following along, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and that will let you know when I upload my next video. See you real soon. Take care and have a great day.